So excited. So excited. Welcome home. Welcome to the relaunch of Elevated Frequencies. It's been a long time coming, but I know if this message has found you today, I believe you're here for a reason. So let's always start it off with a deep breath. Inhale through the nose and exhale with a sigh. Let's settle in together. First and foremost, I want to apologize. Y'all know accountability goes a long way. I had every intention to have this episode uploaded on actual Juneteenth, the Friday, but I've been running into technical difficulties because I'm a perfectionist. And I want you guys to enjoy what you are listening to as far as the quality. And this is still not what I would like it to be, but I'm working with what I have. My microphone, as you guys know, I was transitioning from the move, so there was a lot that's still packed away, and I thought that I had all the pertinent parts that came for the microphone, but it looks like I missed a few, and it just was not recording, and I didn't put two and two together until I recorded it about 3 times. So right now I am recording it on my phone, so the quality may sound muffled. It may sound a little I do apologize, but thank you for your patience and your understanding. Now, with that out the way, welcome again to the relaunch of Elevated Frequencies. If you've been here before, thank you for finding your way back. And if this is your first time here, my name is Niall. And this space exists for healing. It exists for reflection. It exists for truth and elevation. For me, this isn't just a podcast. This is what I see as a cultivated gathering place, a place where we can slow down enough to actually hear ourselves again. A place where we can remember who we are beneath survival mode, beneath expectations, beneath all the noise, because it does get loud. And even the noise, just to reflect and make it personal, like with the noise of me wanting to make this perfect. I wanted to play my handpan while I talked. I wanted to do certain things, but as always, you get it raw and transparent. And I couldn't think of a more meaningful time to return than Juneteenth weekend, so I was really making it a obligation, a priority. Because Juneteenth is about freedom, but it's also about remembering, which is actually the relaunch episode title, which is Remembering to Remember. Okay, with the subtitle Juneteenth, Black and Indigenous History and the Frequency of Freedom. Now, I'm not going to go in depth of what Juneteenth is and the Emancipation Proclamation and things of that sort, but I will give a bit of information, just some brief, on the surface, generic information about what is Juneteenth. Okay. Juneteenth on June 19th, 1865. All right. More than, I believe it was 2 years? Yeah, more than at least 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation had been issued. It's where Union troops went to Galveston, Texas. They went to Galveston, Texas, and they informed enslaved Black people that they were free. Can you imagine that? Freedom had been declared, but many people were still living in bondage because they didn't get no. And stay with me here because this reality sits with me almost every day. Because how many of us are walking around today in that same kind of bondage? Mm, not physical chains, but emotional ones, generational ones, mental ones, spiritual ones. Sometimes, oftentimes, freedom exists before our awareness of it does. Many of us are living in this way. They label it as neo-slavery. Again, if you're new here, I do have episodes available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify still where I spoke on and fully went into detail about the Emancipation Proclamation, the Willie Lynch letter, the formulas that have been put against the oppressed to make us oppressed, and things of that sort. So there is a breakdown of this. But once we become aware, there comes another responsibility. All right. Which is learning how to live as someone who is free, as someone who isn't in bondage, as someone who isn't in a obligation to report to a master. Many of you have created other earthly masters because you feel you have to bow to someone or something. When in reality, the only thing that you should be walking with and allowing to walk with you is God. You know, I think that's why healing work can feel so uncomfortable. Once you know better, and I say this all the time, once you know better, you do better. Okay? Once you know your worth, once you know you deserve peace, you deserve boundaries, you deserve love and dignity. You can't unknow it. And we live in a world where ignorance and arrogance run hand in hand, but they are not the same. The old ways of surviving stop fitting. The old stories stop fitting. The old version of yourself no longer has room to stay. I remember I was trying to fit in the crowd, right? I was starting to be in my rebellious stage where I'm like, well, let me see. Well, let me see what's up. And I was trying to squeeze myself in spaces that I really didn't need to be in. And every time God would squeeze it out of me to know that this is not where I want you. This is not where you need to be. And go ahead about your business. And it's like, it's okay to embrace your uniqueness. We were all uniquely made. There's an old version of yourself that's literally trying to move on or, let you help you move on and you don't even want the old version to go. You've found yourself now attached and now you're in a place of attachment. But that's another conversation. Staying on the topic of Black history is more than slavery. Clock it. Talk about it. I want to honor something that often gets overlooked or dismissed more so. Black history did not begin with slavery. Did I say that? I did. Black history did not begin with slavery. So let's go ahead and nip that in the bud right now. We are so great. Melanin. And that's why I say I'm fair skinned. I'm light skinned. I wish I was more melatonin. I wish I had more melanin. I wish I had more melanin in me. I surely do. Baby, honey, I'd be a problem. Black history, like I said, did not begin with slavery. We descend from inventors, okay? We descend from healers. We descend from astronomers. We descend from farmers, builders, educators. Hello, somebody. Artists. Plenty of spiritual leaders. But this programming really tries to mess you up. Where we focus on the pain. But we come from civilizations that understood community, understood rhythm, understood storytelling, and our relationship with the earth. Which is why on commercials, the only part of Africa you see is the ones that singing "In the Arms of an Angel" commercials. But there are beautiful, beautiful, beautiful parts of Africa, our rooted land. But also, there's also the conversation about the map being flipped over. So let's really talk about that another time. Which I have talked about that too. But I would more so want to talk about these type of things more so with a person who is engaged in the same level and would like to give insight because it's a learning opportunity. Everything that we don't take personal is a learning opportunity. But we literally carry traditions of resilience and creativity that have survived unimaginable circumstances. Our history is not only pain, so we must not continue to project ourselves from that space because it's so much more to our story than just the pain. It is brilliant. Our history is innovation. Our history is culture. It is joy. And it's also resistance. It is also resistance, okay? And the resistance in that comes from us kind of doing it ourselves, which makes me want to speak intentionally about Black Indigenous history, okay? If you don't know by now, know this, that the history in this country in many, 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 many occasions are falsely taught, are falsely misinterpreted, are just simply taught lies, um, are tossed around to be something else when it's really not the true history. And it could be taught as though Black and Indigenous stories exist separately, but the truth is far more layered. The more we dive in, we'll realize that truth is super layered, like a super lasagna. You would think that you was done. You thought you was done with that plate. And then, oh, no, there's still a whole nother layer you gotta get through, honey. Then another layer under that. Okay? There have always been people of both Black and Indigenous ancestry. There have been shared experiences of displacement, okay, oppression, resistance, and the biggest one is cultural preservation, where we low key felt we had to hide our culture and our ceremonial beliefs and certain things that, yes, on a spiritual soul level, were very, very important. Many African descended people found refuge, actually, among indigenous communities, and many indigenous communities included people of African ancestry. Our histories intersect more than we've often ever been taught because the biggest goal is separation and division. We will never be able to be conquered. I mean, we will never be able to conquer as long as we stay divided, which is why it's always something trying to keep us divided as a people. And when we learn these truths, it reminds us that identity is often more complex, more beautiful, and more interconnected than simple labels can ever capture or fathom. There is wisdom in remembering your roots, remembering who you are, remembering the connections, okay? And the best way to do that is honestly simply by utilizing your freedom as a daily practice, practicing free will. I've been seeing it on, they call it exposure therapy, and they people are doing certain things that make them uncomfortable, but they benefit so much personally, spiritually, emotionally, mentally out of it. It's not about the money, it's not about the fame that may come with it, but it's about I was actually able to do something for me that created me to remember who I am and remind me that I'm free, and it breaks you out of the programming. You start to realize, oh, I don't have to work a 9 to 5 and do this and do that because I was told that I had to. There's other sources out there. There's other things that I can be doing right now to feel more alive. And I call it all the time. The robots are waking up and being rebooted. Okay. I've learned something over the years that freedom is not only an event. It's not something you just attend. It's not something that just happened. It's not something that was hosted. It's it's a practice. Freedom is telling the truth. Freedom is resting. Freedom is setting boundaries. Freedom is seeking therapy. Freedom is forgiving yourself. Freedom is learning your history. Freedom is creating art. Freedom is laughing without guilt. Freedom is deciding that what happened to me will not have the final say in who I become and who I am. And perhaps one of the most radical forms of freedom is giving yourself permission to become someone you've never been before, to become that one person that you always had opportunities coming your way to do it and to activate it, but you always tell yourself, I can't do that. There's no way I could do that. I would never. I would never. I would never. That's our biggest lie that we tell ourselves. I would never. I can never. I've never. The other one is, I can't. I'm incapable of doing that. I just can't do that. Another one is, what if I do that and this happens? Well, what if I do that and this happens? What if? But as long as you stay in that place, your daily practice is actually procrastination. Your daily practice is fear. Your daily practice is self doubt. Your daily practice is not pursuing your purpose, which creates another problem because now you're just constantly off alignment, and therefore you are dealing with things that are constantly going to keep you in the place of burnout because you're not doing anything to fulfill your purpose. You're doing everything to fulfill this program. I will reflect all the time. I told you guys, I do this personally. I'll be honest. This podcast has had seasons, and honestly, this relaunch was almost about to not happen. I'm like, if this does not upload once again and be where I need it to be as far as the quality and not dropping certain words that I'm saying, because that's what was happening. It was just words that I would say and it would just be silent. If this happens again, then that's my cue on telling myself that this is not it for me. I am not to be pursuing this at this time. But then I had to be reminded that no, it's not that you shouldn't be doing it. It's really the question of God, how bad do you want it? And you know what? My God, if that ain't a way to get me to snap me back into reality, okay? There were times that I did step away. Mm, y'all know it. Times that I was healing, times that I was learning, times that I was simply trying to survive. But one thing I kept hearing within myself was be consistent. It's time. Because I did start doing daily videos Monday through Friday on TikTok and Instagram, where it's inspirational daily videos and continuing that, but getting back to using my voice again. Time to create space again. Time to gather in conversation again so that I can continue to meet my tribe, my like minded people, and continue to leave what no longer aligns where it is. A hard pill I had to swallow is that healing isn't meant to happen in isolation. Pastor Ted said it best that God doesn't want to be blessed in isolation, God wants to be blessed in community. And maybe this podcast isn't only for me. I know it isn't only for me. It's for whoever needs this reminder, whoever needs these reminders. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to change. And you are allowed to remember who you are. It's essential to remember who you are. It's a responsibility to remember who you are. So I dare you to start to figure it out. I dare you to start doing some inner reflections. I dare you. I'll make it a little easy. Ask yourself this question. Where in your life have you already been given permission to be free, but you're still waiting for someone to tell you? Like, what? And I'm not judging when I laugh. I'm like really on the thing like of, wow, we really aren't that deep into this programming sometimes where everything has been already there. Maybe you've already outgrown the fear. Maybe you've already outgrown the relationship. Maybe you've already outgrown the old story about yourself. Maybe freedom is already standing at your door. Shit, maybe today is simply the day you answer. But can't no one else validate that but you? That's it, and that's all. So like I said, I just wanted to relaunch it with a little something cute, real demure. Setting the expectation that yes, I am back with the Elevated Frequencies podcast. If you would like to be a guest, please reach out to me. I am very, very so much actively looking for guests who want to come on. If you are someone who wants to promote your business and want to talk about some things, if you have a book idea, if you have any type of projects you're working on and you want some promotion and you want to talk about it, or you just want to talk about it, um, reach out. If I gotta come to you, I'll come to you. We can figure some things out. You know, that's the beauty of working and having your own is because yeah, who I need to get permission from? What who? Oh, what agent? See, do I need? Oh, I don't need none of that. So this is these are episodes that I'm going to be mixing it around. Some will just be audio with the visual playing, like it'll probably be my logo or something like this episode here. This will be audio, but it will be available on YouTube with the visual of my logo. Um, then some episodes you might actually see some faces. You might actually see guests. You might see some interaction. So we're going to be switching it around, playing around, but 9 times out of 10 is definitely going to have audio uploaded on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. But I will always keep in mind that there are some listeners who are not joining in with the visuals. So I will always keep it friendly to where even if you're just listening, you will still be just as engaged as if you were physically able to see what was going on and things of that sort. So I will definitely keep that in mind for future episodes. And I just want to thank you for joining me for the return of Elevated Frequencies. I want to thank you for your patience and overstanding and just praying with me and staying with me and continuing to, let's just continue to elevate. That's all we could do. That's all we could do. Okay. So it'll be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow my Instagram, elevated_FHZ, which stands for frequencies for anyone who may have not known that. FHZ at the end of elevated frequencies is frequencies. So it's just the shorter version of it because sometimes I take frequencies out and I just put elevated FHZ. So it's just to indicate that they're the same thing. So yes, we are on Instagram, elevated_FHZ for frequencies. Also, my media Instagram. Please help me build my followers on both Instagrams because then I'll start being able to go live on there as well once I hit at least 2,000 followers on each page. And I'll be doing more interactive things as well there. Some giveaways, some type of stuff like that. So I want to get that going, but I have to get my followers up as well. The other Instagram is elevated.media7. That's anything that's media based. So staying up to date with episodes. That's where the main page is going to have everything as far as the full length episodes, if possible, or just the links and things of that sort. And I will share it from elevated_FHC, but it won't be posted on elevated_FHC. It will be posted on elevated.media7, okay, which is my photography page and my media page. And there's a number of things just being worked on at one time. So again, thank you for your patience. Thank you for just being here with me as I take this walk and figure this out. We're walking together. Okay. So on that note, let's take a deep breath. Inhale and exhale. May we remember our history. May we honor our ancestors. May we protect our joy. May we practice freedom. And may we continue elevating together as we should. Okay. I trust that you enjoyed it, the episode today and the relaunch. And again, there's more coming. There's more coming. I'm going to do one episode a month starting off. And then the more that we grow, the more that we reconnect, the more that we get back on program, on schedule, I should say, back into alignment. I'll be doing it more often, but for starting off the relaunch, I'm going to do an episode once a month. But thank you for joining. Thank you for being here. And until next time, stay true, stay you, and keep following the truth. Namaste.